A powwow, community booths, and an arts festival showcased Indigenous cultures at the Fort York National Historic Site. Organizers say it's important to hold such events in big cities like Toronto to foster conversations, understanding, and reconciliation.
What does it truly mean to live in harmony with the world around us? In a fast-paced, technology-driven era where concrete jungles replace forests and digital screens overshadow starry skies, it's easy to forget that human life has always been deeply intertwined with nature. Yet, across the globe, there are communities whose ways of life remain rooted in a profound connection to their environment, a connection that shapes their identity, spirituality, and very existence. What can we learn from these indigenous tribes who live in balance with the earth? How do their rituals, stories, and traditions offer insights that go far beyond their remote homelands? And why might their wisdom be more relevant today than ever before? This journey takes us deep into the lives of diverse tribal peoples, from the Inawane of Brazil's Amazon to the Sami of Northern Europe, from the Baka of Central Africa to the Kazakh eagle hunters in Mongolia's Altai Mountains.
Even registration was a fantastic flurry of fur and feathers as the eagle hunters and their magnificent falcons assembled for the start of the competition.
These groups are more than cultural curiosities. They represent living systems of knowledge that have evolved over centuries. Their rituals are not mere ceremonies, but vital expressions of respect, survival, and cosmic balance. Their daily practices, whether it's building fish traps with reverence, singing melodies that capture the spirit of the forest, or running across treacherous mountain paths as a spiritual act, reflect a worldview where every action carries meaning. In a world increasingly disconnected from natural cycles, their stories ask us to pause and reflect. How do we define progress? Can modern society rekindle a relationship with the environment that respects limits rather than exploits? And if balance is the foundation of life, how do we restore it when it has been broken? Throughout this exploration, one theme emerges clearly: balance. Not just balance with nature, but also between individual needs and communal well-being, between the spiritual and the material, and between tradition and change. These tribes don't see themselves as separate from the earth, but as integral parts of a larger whole. Their rituals, songs, and practices are reminders that survival is not only about technology or resources, but about harmony, respect, and a deep awareness of our place in the world. As we dive into these rich cultures and their sacred relationships with nature, we begin to see that their knowledge is not relics of the past, but living wisdom. It challenges us to listen to the earth, to each other, and to the voices that have been echoing through time, waiting for us to hear. So, what can their way of life teach us about healing our planet and ourselves? Living histories in the modern world. Even as skyscrapers rise and satellites orbit above us, there are communities across the globe who remain rooted in the wisdom of their ancestors. These people, tribes living in forests, deserts, tundras, and mountains, maintain a delicate but deliberate distance from the rush of modern life. Their way of living offers a glimpse into humanity's earliest interactions with the land, shaped not by industry or consumption, but by tradition, connection, and spiritual presence. These tribes are not backward, they are timeless. They are not primitive, they are precise. Every chant, stitch, dance, and ritual is embedded with meaning. For them, survival is not merely physical, it's cultural, emotional, and deeply sacred. Through their customs, we don't just see an alternative way of life, we see a mirror reflecting the values modern society has often left behind. Take the Aka women of northern Thailand. They walk through misty hills with headdresses so heavy and adorned they could be mistaken for ceremonial crowns. These ornate headdresses evolve over time. Coins, beads, and woven charms are added as the women pass through different phases of life. Each element signifies something important: a birth, a marriage, a lost loved one. Wearing their life stories on their heads, they carry history with every step. Their embroidery is equally symbolic. Every motif sewn into their clothes, zigzags, swirls, geometric designs, represents a part of their identity or belief system. Their clothing and jewelry are not just decorative, they are autobiographical. Even the threads used to stitch them together carry meaning, dyed with natural colors sourced from leaves, bark, and minerals. When you look at an Aka woman, you're not just seeing a person. You're seeing generations of memory displayed in color and form. Similarly, in the Andean highlands, the Quechua people continue the legacy of their Incan ancestors through farming and textile weaving. They don't just plant crops, they cultivate relationships with the land. Their terraces, masterfully constructed over centuries, are not only architectural feats, but spiritual spaces. Each layer is infused with intention, stone by stone, seed by seed. Their reverence for Pachamama, or Mother Earth, is visible in every agricultural cycle. Before planting or harvesting, offerings are made. Coca leaves are placed gently on the soil. Prayers are whispered into the wind.
In these green Colombian hills, farmers are tending to their coca production. Traditionally, these leaves were chewed for energy and as a cure for altitude sickness.
Nothing is taken for granted. The same care is evident in their textiles. Weaving is more than a craft. It's a language. A single poncho can tell you where a person comes from, their marital status, even the blessings they carry. Colors are vibrant, but never arbitrary. A red might symbolize life, a green, the fertility of the valley, a black, mourning. And while Catholic influences have woven their way into Quechua life, the spiritual core remains Andean, cosmic, cyclical, and earthbound. Rituals that sustain. One of the most profound aspects of tribal life is the role of ritual. While modern rituals often center on birthdays or holidays marked by consumerism and spectacle, traditional rituals in tribal communities are living, breathing forces. They are not confined to a calendar date or a material exchange. They are woven into everyday life. These rituals serve as emotional anchors, communal expressions, and cosmic conversations. They root people to place, history, and spirit. For many tribal societies, rituals are not occasional performances. They are continuous affirmations of identity, balance, and belonging. Take the Inawananawe people of Brazil. Their Yakwa festival is not merely a celebration of harvest, it is an embodiment of their worldview. Held after long preparations, the festival is both structured and sacred. Every element, whether it's the intricate body painting, the rhythmic chants, or the building of fish traps from forest vines, bears spiritual weight. Nothing is arbitrary. The fish are not caught for convenience. They are honored, coaxed from the rivers through a process that respects their role in the ecological web. The Yakwa doesn't glorify abundance, but teaches gratitude. Even the taboos surrounding red meat stem from more than superstition. They preserve ecological balance and spiritual purity, reinforcing the idea that what enters the body should not disturb the body's harmony with nature. This deep-seated respect for balance echoes in the smallest of actions. During the festival, elders pass down oral teachings about ancestors, spirit beings, and sacred obligations. Songs are chanted in unison, drawing strength from community, not competition. Children participate not as spectators, but as initiates, given small roles, carrying food, helping elders, learning the rhythm of tradition by stepping into it. The Yakwa binds the past, present, and future, not through a single event, but through the values it sustains. Even as some Inawananawe communities face pressure from deforestation and external development, the Yakwa endures as a heartbeat of resistance, resilience, and renewal. In the far northern landscapes of Europe, the Sami people demonstrate that rituals can live in breath and sound. Their joik is not simply a song, it is a calling forth. Unlike Western music, a joik does not describe a thing, it becomes the thing. A joik of a reindeer doesn't sing about the animal, it channels the spirit of the reindeer into melody. This intimate approach makes joiking a deeply personal ritual. A joik for a child carries the scent of birth, the warmth of cradle fires, the weight of protection. Elders teach young Sami not just how to perform these melodies, but how to listen for them in wind, water, and animal movement. Even their traditional garments, the gakti, embody ritual meaning. These garments, often passed down or crafted communally, are tailored with careful attention to region, clan, and life milestones. The color patterns, buttons, and cuts signify not just aesthetic choices, but tribal affiliations and ancestral honors. Wearing the gakti is not fashion, it's identity worn on the skin, often during ceremonies that mark seasonal changes, rites of passage, or community gatherings. During the reindeer migrations, another form of ritual, they travel as their ancestors did, adapting to the land's rhythm instead of forcing it to theirs. Modern boundaries, laws, and roads may cut through Sami territory, but through ritual, both seen and sung, they assert a continuity that maps deeper than GPS can read. In the equatorial forests of Central Africa, the Baka people live in an acoustic cosmos. Their polyphonic singing is perhaps one of the most complex and soul-stirring musical traditions on Earth. But to them, it's not performance, it's presence. These songs do not originate from one composer or leader. Rather, they emerge organically, as if the forest itself were humming through human voices. Each individual joins with a part that harmonizes, complements, or playfully counters the others. The resulting sound is layered, textured, and constantly shifting, much like the rainforest canopy above them. These musical gatherings are often spontaneous, but purposeful. A certain song might be used to summon honeybees, another to express joy at a successful hunt, another to mourn the passing of a loved one. The Baka believe that the forest responds to these songs. It listens, it guides, it heals. The forest, in turn, sings back in birdsong, in rainfall, in the rustle of leaves. Young children, often before they can walk steadily, are included in these singing rituals. There is no formal instruction. They learn by immersion, by absorbing the vibrations around them. In this way, tradition is not taught in the Western sense. It is absorbed through proximity, through vibration, through communal participation. And there is something uniquely sacred in how the Baka interpret space through sound. The forest is mapped not with physical markers, but with acoustic ones. Certain songs are associated with particular trails, campsites, or hunting zones. Some melodies are only sung at night. Others must be performed near water. Music then becomes a compass, both emotional and geographical. Ritual in this context isn't a separate act. It's the framework of existence. It organizes time, space, relationships, and identity. And in a world where language is often shaped by transaction, the Baka remind us of an older, more primal grammar, one sung from the lungs and rooted in the soil. Across these diverse examples, from the fish-laced rivers of Brazil to the snowy plains of Sapmi to the dense jungles of Central Africa, a shared truth emerges. Ritual is survival. Not survival in the narrow sense of food and shelter, but in the broader sense of meaning, memory, and belonging. Rituals help these communities articulate their place in the universe, not above nature, not apart from it, but within it. They don't ritualize life to escape reality. They ritualize to live it more fully. Where modern society often asks, what's the purpose? These traditions answer, to stay connected. In honoring their ancestors, in singing to their children, in dancing through harvests and migrations, these tribes demonstrate that ritual isn't a thing of the past. It is a compass pointing forward, toward a life more grounded, more grateful, and more whole. Identity through environment. Where people live shapes how they live. And for many indigenous and tribal societies, the environment isn't just a setting, it's a source of identity, a teacher, and a mirror of their values. To them, land is not a possession but a partner. Their way of life is a direct response to geography, climate, and the creatures they share their home with. Survival, belief systems, rituals, and even social structures are inextricably tied to the terrain beneath their feet and the sky above their heads. The natural world doesn't serve them, it collaborates with them. The Ashe of Paraguay once roamed the dense subtropical forests with grace, precision, and humility. For generations, they lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers, moving lightly through the canopy, leaving minimal trace. Their ability to read the forest bordered on the mystical, tracking animals not just by footprints, but by subtle signs: a torn leaf, a freshly disturbed patch of soil, the fading call of a disturbed bird. They didn't see the forest as dangerous or untamed. They saw it as alive, communicative, responsive. It was a home built not of walls, but of interdependence. Every successful hunt was a group success. Food was distributed equitably, ensuring collective survival over individual gain. The ethos of "no one eats unless everyone eats" formed the backbone of their community life. Evenings were sacred. Gathered around fires, the Ashe would listen as elders told stories etched into the stars. These tales were not just for entertainment. They served as oral maps of ethics and ecology. A story about a mischievous monkey might double as a lesson on overconfidence. A myth about a forbidden hunt could carry warnings about extinction or taboo. These narratives formed a living curriculum where cultural memory and ecological awareness blended seamlessly. Children learned not only the names of plants and animals, but the spiritual and moral meanings behind them. Such intimate knowledge of their environment was not taught in isolation. It was absorbed by existing in relationship with it. In Mexico's Sierra Madre, the Raramuri, or Tarahumara, represent a different kind of environmental synchrony.
These women are the Tarahumara, and they take running to the extreme. They run high-altitude marathons in thin air, on insane terrain, in sandals made from old tires, all while throwing a hoop ahead of them with a stick.
Their rugged homeland has shaped them into some of the world's most enduring runners. But their legendary stamina isn't born from sport, it's born from spirit. For the Raramuri, running is a cultural act, a prayer in motion. Races are often run barefoot or in huarachis, minimal sandals made from rubber or leather, not out of austerity, but to maintain direct contact with the land. The terrain is unforgiving, with narrow paths, rocky slopes, and drastic temperature shifts, yet the Raramuri traverse it with calm precision. Community races are more than competitions. They're spiritual gatherings that involve singing, drumming, feasting, and shared responsibility. Runners are sustained by family and neighbors offering food and tesquino, a sacred corn beer, not for performance enhancement, but as a form of ritual support. Each race is a narrative, a reenactment of mythic journeys, a way of renewing bonds among people and between people and land. Children learn to run not from formal training, but by observing, mimicking, and eventually participating. Running is legacy, endurance, humility, and homage, all compressed into a rhythmic cadence across dirt and stone. Further north, in the icy elevations of Mongolia's Altai Mountains, the Kazakh eagle hunters illustrate yet another way that environment molds identity. Here, the land is open, windswept, and harsh. Temperatures plummet far below freezing, yet the Kazakhs have flourished for centuries, adapting their lifestyle to the rhythm of the land and seasons. Their partnership with golden eagles is one of the most iconic expressions of this adaptation. From a young age, boys are taught the art of eagle training, but the process is far from forceful. The bond between hunter and bird is cultivated slowly, through gestures, sounds, shared routines, and mutual respect. An eagle learns to fly on cue, to scout prey from dizzying heights, and to return to its handler's glove with regal poise. This partnership can last over a decade, but it always ends the same way, with the eagle's release. A final ride into the mountains, a farewell chant, and the hunter sets the eagle free. This ritual is deeply symbolic, an acknowledgement that even alliances built over years must one day give way to nature's autonomy. During the annual Eagle Festival, hunters gather in colorful regalia stitched from fox fur, wolf pelts, and hand-dyed wool. The clothes, the music, the stories, they all preserve a cultural memory embedded in mountains, feathers, and frost. But the Kazakhs' identity isn't limited to eagles. Their semi-nomadic lifestyle demands a refined sensitivity to the seasons. They know when to shift camps, when the herds will begin their migration, when the snow will fall heavier than usual. Each movement, each decision, is shaped by a reading of the environment. And within this system, elders hold immense importance, not only for what they remember, but for how they interpret the signs of change. Whether through hunting, herding, or storytelling, they act as bridges between generations and between humans and the land. Across continents and climates, what these diverse communities share is an understanding that the environment is not a resource. It is a relationship. It informs how they walk, how they hunt, how they speak, what they wear, and what they believe. It defines time, dictates rhythm, and demands humility. While industrial societies often seek to conquer or extract from nature, these tribes have mastered the art of coexisting with it, listening to it, leaning on it, and learning from it. Their identities are not rooted in control, but in communion. And in a world increasingly detached from the natural world, their ways remind us that to truly know who we are, we must also know where we are and honor it accordingly. A sacred balance. Across all these tribes, one theme becomes clear: balance. Whether it's the delicate interplay between humans and nature, the individual and the community, or the spiritual and the material, balance is the guiding force. In a world often driven by extremes and excess, these cultures exemplify an alternative path rooted in equilibrium and interdependence. In the heart of the Congo Basin, the Mbuti people live in sync with one of the planet's oldest rainforests. Their lives are woven into the rhythms of the trees, rivers, and animals around them. The Molimo ceremony, one of their most sacred practices, isn't about performance, it's about restoration. When a community faces grief, illness, or misfortune, the Molimo, a long wooden trumpet, emerges from the shadows. It is played at night, sending deep, haunting notes into the canopy. But the music isn't for humans, it's for the forest. The Mbuti believe the forest is a living being, one that feels their joy and sorrow alike. If something is wrong among the people, they believe it's because something has gone wrong in their relationship with the forest. By playing the Molimo, they awaken its spirit, asking it to remember them and bring life back into balance. Further west, among the highlands of Colombia, the Kogi people offer perhaps one of the most urgent and articulate expressions of sacred balance. Their worldview divides humanity into two: elder brother and younger brother. The Kogi see themselves as elder brother, caretakers entrusted with the earth's well-being, while modern industrial society is the impetuous younger brother, unaware of the consequences of its actions. From childhood, Kogi priests, called mamos, are raised in darkness, away from the distractions of the world, to heighten their inner senses. Only after years of quiet observation are they introduced to the sunlit world. This is not mysticism for its own sake, it's training in attentiveness. Mamos are taught to read signs in nature that others overlook: a shrinking glacier, a new wind pattern, a change in the tide. Everything has meaning. Every imbalance in nature signals a message. Their rituals are not confined to festivals. They are daily dialogues with the planet, offerings, prayers, adjustments meant to preserve the world's fragile fabric. As environmental crises escalate, the Kogi have stepped beyond their seclusion to issue a stark warning. They do not ask for charity or technology. They ask for awareness. They believe the earth is communicating its distress, and they believe we are not listening. In every corner of the world, from Arctic tundras to equatorial forests, indigenous tribes maintain this sacred balance. Their belief systems are not frozen in time. They evolve as the earth evolves, adapting without abandoning their core values. Their rituals may differ, their tools may vary, but their intent is shared, to live in a way that gives back as much as it takes. And in that, perhaps, lies a lesson modern society has long forgotten. What we've forgotten. In our quest for progress, we've paved over the very foundations that sustained us. We've insulated ourselves from silence, from patience, from the sacred patterns of the natural world. But the voices of indigenous communities still echo, clear, persistent, wise. They remind us that knowledge isn't only found in textbooks or laboratories. It also lives in songs passed down by grandmothers, in dances that mimic migration, in stories told to a flickering fire. These people don't need to be saved. They are not primitive. They are not lost. In fact, they may be among the few who haven't lost their way. Their systems of wisdom, rooted in observation, humility, and deep respect, offer not just cultural enrichment, but survival strategies for a planet in peril. The rituals they maintain, the environments they protect, and the relationships they nurture could be blueprints for a better future. We often look to innovation to solve our crises, but maybe the solution isn't something new. Maybe it's something old, something tested by time, carried by generations, whispered in the rustle of leaves or the flapping of eagle wings. Perhaps balance, not growth, is the direction we need. And perhaps by listening, truly listening to these cultures, we can begin to remember what it means to belong not just to a nation or a belief, but to the earth itself.